All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mercer FCA podcast. It's episode number 22. This is Bud Pierce, and I have Ryan Gloer. I like Ryan. Sorry, I didn't even ask how to pronounce your last name, but I have Ryan on today. Very excited to be able to talk with Ryan. So Ryan, go ahead and kind of introduce yourself, and man, we can get this conversation going.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. You actually said it right, so well done. Ryan Gloer,
Perfect.
serve on staff up here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Been on staff with FCA a little over 17 years now. Started out in Atlanta, and we moved to Charlotte back in 2012. But yeah, thankful to be based here and thankful for my FCA roots, but look forward to being with you and excited to chat it up a little bit about
Man, yeah,
FCA.
no, dude, let's go ahead and talk about this. So what's your athletic background, and then when did FCA first kind of come into your vision?
Yeah, I'm a football guy all the way. Grew up in the football office, dad, longtime high school football coach.
Okay.
Became my passion from a very young age. Knew I wanted to do that in college and went to go play in college. I say it's a little different saying this part of my testimony nowadays. It used to seem crazy, but now it's normal. I was at three
Right.
colleges, my first 3 semesters of college.
That's right.
And that used to be odd, but now that's just the nature of the game.
It
But
is.
yeah, man, I came to know Christ while I was at my third university. And my college football coach is who introduced me to the ministry of FCA. And it has been a massive part of my life and my story, my testimony from my college years till now.
Man, so coming right out of college football, like was that your goal, like always to get in some kind of into like that kind of field, or man, was that just all because of that football coach and man, you had to just change complete direction?
Yeah, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I
Mm,
changed my major, I don't know how many times, and ended up landing as a business major. And I got offered a job with Chick-fil-A straight out of college, and I took it
okay.
initially. Realized very quickly that was not going to be my life calling. I
Yeah.
knew I loved the company, I loved the vision, loved the values, loved the food, loved the people, loved everything about that company. I just knew this is not what God has called me to do. And
Mm,
from there, I mean, I only stayed with Chick-fil-A 3 months and ended up stepping into, I don't know what I want to do. My high school football coach said, "Hey, you can come out here and coach with us." And so I was doing that.
gotcha. Yeah.
And then as I was doing that, he said, "Hey, will you take care of the chapels for us?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I started doing the chapels and loved it. Absolutely loved it. I was training on the side in a
Mm-hmm.
sports performance facility, was just making some extra cash to scrape by.
Yeah.
And it was then that Randy Bruno, FCA
Okay.
VP
Yeah.
for Georgia, Randy heard what I was doing, pursued me, said, "You ever thought about doing this?" I said, "I love FCA. I didn't know you could work for you guys." So
Right.
as a young believer in college, trying to figure life out and just trying to learn to walk with Jesus, and also still trying to think, what am I going to major in? I had no
Yeah.
idea you could serve with FCA. It's like, they're out there, but don't know how it
Mm-hmm.
works. And my 22-year-old brain had not put that together that, oh, you can
Yeah. That's an
potentially
option. Yeah.
serve with them. And so it was shortly after I graduated college where Randy laid out that for me and made it very
Mhm.
clear. And the Lord confirmed that and made that very clear in my life that this is
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to be doing. And by the grace of God, been doing this for this fall will be 18 years.
Man, that is man. Oh, that is so awesome to be able to hear that. And now, same thing, big time football guy like myself. So I got to ask, what high school did you go to?
Stars Mill High School.
Starsville. Let's go, man. Okay, so I am. I do all the radio broadcasts down for like the Panthers, and we played Stars Mill 2 or 3 years ago in the Final Four. Went up there and beat them,
Mm,
and great game, man, awesome game, and then wind up winning state title the next week.
wow.
Back in 2023. So that's my only run in with Stars Mill, and it was a back and forth game. And man, we had a fourth quarter. minute and a half left, goal line stop on defense to be able to hold them out and to be able to win that game. But man, what a team!
You saying that it was 23-3. So I was actually I was in Fayette County over that. It was like a Thanksgiving holiday. If I don't
that's right.
Remember that right? And they threw a Hail Mary on the last play of the game to actually advance to that game.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
I was sitting there watching it with my dad. I'm like, this is nuts. No way. We're going to I guess that was the semifinals. I can't remember. But.
No, that would have been round 3 because then we came there the next week for the Final Four.
Okay.
We played up there. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, awesome. Dad was longtime coach at Fayette County High School. And when I transitioned from 8th grade into 9th grade, Dad took the Stars Mill job with Mike Earwood and was there for the rest of his career until he retired. So,
man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. My parents live right down the road from Stars Mill and still in that community.
Man, awesome facilities and everything up there. We had an awesome time there. It was great. Obviously, coming out of there with a big time win was even better. But it was a really cool atmosphere. Place was packed. Like there were, I think everybody in from that area was there. It was awesome. But man, let's get back into FCA. And so so obviously taking over there, kind of working into the high schools. What took you into the Carolinas region, and how did that come to be?
Yeah, great question there. With college football being a big part of my testimony and passion, I always had that tug of, man, it'd be awesome to serve in the college football world if that's a possibility. And loved doing what I was doing with the high school guys, was serving as the football chaplain at Stars Mill through FCA, was working very closely with them. I went from being a coach on the staff to now I'm FCA partnering with the staff for the very program that I played for. And that was a best case scenario. I absolutely loved it. And had a lot of family in that area, a lot of friends in that area, was brought up in that area. All that stuff was awesome. With being on the Fayette County staff, I was technically on the Atlanta FCA staff. And that's when Shane was still serving over the Atlanta area, who later obviously went on to become our president and still is. But at that time, there were a couple of different things happening. Randy had saw this in me long before I did. He said, hey, when that time comes and you want to have that conversation, just let me know. I see that. I bless that. But let's have that conversation when the time comes. I was on my bachelor weekend up in the mountains with a lot of my former teammates and some of my best friends. All we were doing was watching college football and shooting guns. That was basically my bachelor weekend. And Shep called. A lot of people know Shep. He speaks all over the place. And Shep was at Michigan at the time. And he just called to say, hey, wanted to see what you was up to. I want you to be praying about and thinking about the college football space. And I was like, you know what? Like, I have been, but that really challenged me to intentionally begin to pray and seek the Lord more intentionally on what would that look like. That was the fall of 2010. Well, in the spring of 11, Randy and Shane had just started having that conversation with me, and Shane threw out a bunch of different universities to think about. And some were in Georgia, some were not. At that time, the regional lines were way different than they are now, but he threw out UNC Charlotte, and Brittany and I visited, and it was undeniable that here's an amazing opportunity. Here's a massive Division I university. They had no FCA. They had no AIA. They had no Team United. At that time, we had a lot of FCA ministry happening around the city of Charlotte and in the greater Charlotte area, but that was when organizationally we were starting to add like true infrastructure and hey, here's a reporting structure and this is an area structure of what this is going to look like. That just happened to be when we were praying through college football. It also just happened to be when Charlotte was starting college football. All of that was happening in 2012. You look at the end of 11, the beginning of 12, all of those things were happening at the very same time. And Brittany and I would say it made no sense on paper. It was very obvious that God was leading us and compelling us and calling us to this city. But there was not a lot that like looked like, oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense with hey, we would just say we walk by faith, not by sight. And that was a very clear example of, hey man, to the sight, this is like wild, but no friends, no church partners, no donor base, no board, existing structure. It was just, here's opportunity. And we said yes. And yeah, we were newlyweds, man. We moved here. We had been married 14 months and it was awesome, but also really challenging. We're like figuring that out together. And we would tell you, we couldn't imagine our lives or our marriage or our family without doing it. But growing up in Georgia and then leaving all of that, I mean, coming here, it was, it was a huge leap for us.
Wow. So you've been serving in the college realm since 2012. That was
correct. Yeah. We moved here January 9th, 2012. Been doing that ever since.
Wow. Well, so obviously, like I'm same thing, serving on the campus of down at Mercer, and so I just started that position in August, so kind of brand new to it, almost one full like academic year into it now. What have you seen, like, just in terms, I mean, obviously you had to build it kind of from scratch. Same thing with our, with kind of what we had, like, we didn't have really a presence there. We had a little bit of a FCA, but, no one specifically for that campus. It was always kind of shared with all the other schools and stuff. So what are some big takeaways that you have taken from serving on the college campus with coaches and those athletes, and like kind of if you could come up with like a priority, like this is what you should be starting with, like what have you kind of learned?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, I was a young guy. We moved here 2 weeks before I turned 26.
Right.
And now I'm 40. Yeah. But when you look back on it and you realize, man, here's a Division I campus that is launching full-on FBS college football.
Yeah.
They're building their staff. Brad Lambert was our first ever head coach. And the amazing part there was Phil Jones, who's my college football coach, one of my heroes, and the guy who introduced me to FCA, somebody I'm very close with. They coached together on Jim Donnan's staff at Georgia. They had a very strong relationship, and Coach Jones basically just through a phone call with Coach Lambert was opening that door. Coach Lambert welcomed me around, and he was still getting to know me. I love Brad. I love serving on Brad's staff. Like, I consider him a dear friend, but rewind back to when he didn't have a clue who I was, never heard my name. And here I am moving here as a really, really young guy, and just say, hey, I'm here to serve. I didn't go into his office asking if I could be his chaplain. And he later told me, once we got to know each other really well, he said, when we were starting the program, the top two questions I kept getting were, can I be your strength and conditioning coach? And can I be your chaplain?
Wow.
He said he was having all kinds of just introductions and requests. And we were just saying, hey, what can we do to serve?
Right.
We didn't come there with an agenda. We came there saying, what do you need? How do we best help you? And what would best serve you, your staff, and your team? And that was how we started. And I think that to this day is still a really key way of serving is, man, I don't always use the word ministry of presence. I say intentional ministry of presence. Are you going to be intentional while you're around, and are you going to be consistently present and available? Because that makes a big difference. There's a big difference between doing that versus I show up once every 4 to 5 weeks as just my obligatory swing through.
Right. Yeah.
And so having a regular intentional presence, especially when they have invited you into that space.
Yeah.
There's a proverb that I pray through often and really look back on often as well, but it's where it says, do not put yourself forward in the king's presence, or do not exalt yourself in the king's presence. It's better for him to say to you, come up here, than for him to cast you down into the presence of nobles. And so yeah, you're around and you are present, but when they invite you in, man, it makes all the difference in the world. It's like, okay, how can I intentionally and consistently be present in their space, not overstepping, but
Right.
being an available. Randy and I used to use this language back when he first hired me, but life-giving asset. How can I be a life-giving asset to what they're doing?
Yeah.
And just someone who is there to serve. And I would say when you do have an intentional ministry of presence, that over the course of time develops relational equity. And when you have relational equity, then trust begins to form. And as trust is formed, then that's when you are invited into some of these spaces and places that not going to happen if you're just doing the occasional, just stop by and say, hey. And that's where some of those conversations begin to happen before and after practice. Heck, sometimes during practice. That's where some of those, hey, you have time to sit down in my office, and hey, coach, do you have time to go grab some coffee after practice? You know, those things begin to take place. And so, I think that was one of the things I learned and still rely on to this day. And that was something my college football coach legitimately built a program on. And that was the value of and the strength of relationships. For us, it wasn't a slogan. It wasn't written on the wall. It wasn't a bracelet. It really was something that he lived day in and day out. And I tell you, man, it made all the difference in the world when I was a part of an inaugural program as a college player, and then I was a part of one as an FCA guy when Charlotte was starting. So I kind of got to see it from two different sides, but the relationships make all the difference.
Man, that's it's so great to hear, because that was the same thing with me again. Quick background for me. So I was a teacher and a coach for the last 15 years, and serving with FCA inside of the school system, leading huddles and stuff like that. And then this past summer, it's kind of a crazy situation, but like I was at the same school for all of my entire career, 15 years there, serving there, football coach and the baseball coach, and teaching PE. And so being in the weight room, strength and conditioning and everything like that. And I got this offer from another school in another county, prayed over it, did a fast over it, want to make sure this is exactly where God wants me to be. Felt like everything was leaning me toward taking that spot. Me and my wife both were like 100% convinced, wound up taking that job. And then a week before summer, this last summer, so this had been May of last year, that job calls and says, man, we don't know how to tell you this, but the class we hired you to teach isn't, like, we're not going to have it next year. And I've already resigned. I've already done everything. Like, my job's already been filled by somebody else. And so it's literally, a week before summer, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And, I've always felt that calling into the ministry, into, doing stuff like that. Like, I serve as an elder at my church. I play in the band. I lead the men. And so I've always felt that. And, I was talking with my wife one night, like, the really cool thing, like, me and her both felt so at peace, was just like, man, we felt like God really told us to take that. There's just another job out there that he wants me to have. I just don't know what it is. And so just, kept praying throughout it. And I said, babe, do you think this is something with the FCA? Like, is this finally it? And then she, kind of under her breath was like, look, I've been thinking that the whole time. I was just scared to say it, And so wound up making a call to Tony, one of our area directors and everything here, and told him the whole spot, like everything that's happened in the last month. And he says, man, I'm actually on the way back from a meeting statewide. We just came up with this new plan of getting college reps. We don't have anybody on the campus of Mercer. This was like Thursday. He's like, on Monday, that job is going to be posted for the first time. You would be obviously, coming right into it. So, obviously just felt like a God thing of just everything lined up perfectly. And, with the coaching background and everything, just felt like I could, really connect to the coaches, to the athletes and everything like that. So having those kind of relationships, and just same thing, like that's always my first thought to all the coaches I talk to, is like, coach, if you just need me to serve in any way, like right now it's during baseball season, I'm like, coach, like, I could go out there and swing a fungo for you. Like, whatever you need me to do, like, I'm here for it, And I think that's exactly what the gospel needs is like to be able to, everyone else to be able to see, man, like this guy just wants to be around. Like this guy wants to help. Like he wants to assist in any way. And, that's how those life-giving relationships start, just like you were saying. So, man, I don't mean to kind of hijack the podcast there for a minute, but I just love hearing from someone else and hearing their story and how God has, man, just worked and ordained everything to lead you into that spot that you are at now. And so, with that, man, let's go ahead and get into this. I really want to talk about this Golgotha challenge, fitness challenge. I was kind of reading up a little bit of it, and I think a couple of years ago, you kind of had this idea of it. You had somebody else say, "Hey, man, I'll do it with you." Tell me about it. Like, how did you come up with this? How did it all start? Tell me the whole story.
Yeah, I mean, the really quick context there to frame it up. I love fitness, have since I was a kid. Dad always worked out with his players, but Dad also always had his garage gym. I was seeing it on two fronts, and that was a big part of my life. You get to middle school and high school and college. I love ball. I played middle linebacker, love collision. But my favorite part of football was always the weight room. I mean, I absolutely loved it. And then when I graduate, I'm looking at doing strength and conditioning. I was looking at doing sports performance, loved being in those places and facilities. And anyway, that just had an influence on what we'll get into in a minute. But you see this, here's this lifelong, like, man, I do love being able to connect over fitness. And then when you rewind back to my FCA journey, man, some of the deepest and richest relationships I have came from being present in the weight room. And that was coaches inviting me into that space. Now, I didn't invite myself and, hey, can I lift with your guys? But the opportunity to just be around them in there, that naturally progressed into, Coach, you going to lift with us? You just going to stand there. Like, man, I'll throw around some. I'm not throwing that weight, but I'll throw around some weight with you guys. Yeah. And then to this day, it's still a major way I build relationships. And that is through the context of fitness and through the avenue of fitness. Well, when we got here, hey, Brittany and I were 100% on the college campus from 2012 to 2018. In 2018, that's when Josh Gilreath had asked if I would step into the multi-area role. And I said, yeah, we prayed about it. We fasted. We sought wise counsel. We were very clear that, yes, now's the time to do that. But the one thing that remained the same was my role with Charlotte football. I had the opportunity to hire a guy who's one of my best friends now, but he oversees the campus as a whole. But I was overseeing the Malta area, and I was still having my boots on the ground with Charlotte football. Well, fast forward that up until 2023, we had a really big press organization. I can't remember if it was 22, 23, where you were starting to hear a lot more with FCA sports. Yeah. With leagues and with clubs and
leagues. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, man, leading this multi-area, we did have some league and club action, mainly a volleyball club, but in terms of like what we would call those expanded sport environments, we didn't have a lot of traction happening, but I had been building a relationship with a few guys in the fitness space. And I also had a lot of connections in fitness. And so as a way of saying, okay, to these off-campus, atypical, expanded sport environment opportunities, I just was feeling very strongly like, hey, what are we going to do to reach people in the fitness community? And there was a guy on my staff at the time, Chris Gratton, who I was mentoring, discipling, still am very close with. And Chris is like a jack of all trades, man. He's uber talented, and he also loves fitness, among other things. But I went to him and I said, hey, man, I got an idea. I said, what if to reach people in the fitness space, it's not technically a league and a club, but let's just say it's our league and our club here. I said, what if we did a crazy workout? And at the time, my initial concept was, what if we did Murph, a marathon row, and Linda, which are 3 bars of death? What if we did those RX'd back to back to back?
Oh my gosh.
And it'd probably take
Yeah.
8 or 9 hours. What if we did that? And he said, bro, that's so rad. It's gnarly. I'm in.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Okay. So he says, sign me up. That's exactly right. And then I went back to him and I said, man, it's not crazy enough. I said, what if we did 24 straight hours?
Wow.
And his answer was the exact same. Well, what happened between the concept of that idea and the execution of that idea was Chris married his awesome wife, Mackenzie. He got offered a role at a church and he moved. And so he was like, hey, I'm behind you. I'm just not going to be able to come back to Charlotte to be able to do it with you. And I said, well, I've already committed. I'm in. I will do it in my garage gym if I have to. Because like I said, among other things, Chris was also helping with, he created a video for us, created some of the media that we use, some of the promo material that we used in 2023. And the goal then, I don't even know if you know this yet, but back in 23, the workout was, I did 7 different movements and I cycled through them for 24 straight hours. And the goal was to cover as many miles and as many reps as possible. And we did run, walk, or crawl and row. Those were the mileage and meters movements. And then the other were push up, pull up, air squat, sit up. And you're just,
so for 24 hours, you just break as you need to.
Repeat. Yes. I mean, it was just no particular rhyme or rhythm to the sets. You just do whatever you want. It's just, you got to constantly be cycling through.
Oh man.
And I was looking at my Facebook memories. This was the day, April 7th was the day in 2023 where we finished Golgotha. So I was seeing some of those stats just this morning of it popping back up in my social media feeds, and just really cool reminders there. But that was how it initially started. And Chris couldn't join me, and we didn't do it in my garage gym, but one of those fitness guys I was telling you about that I've been building a relationship with, Jeremy Martin, he owns Ultimate Athlete here in Charlotte.
Okay.
He was about to open his new facility, but it was not done yet. It was unfinished. The rubber mats and flooring were in, and some of the racks were in, but half the building was still a construction zone. There was no running water. There wasn't really power. We had a construction light hanging from the ceiling for the middle of the night workouts. But yeah, man, you got porta potties outside the gym, and that was your first year of Golgotha. And that was how it started.
Gosh, dude, that's all right. So did you do that all by yourself, or did you have people joining in during?
Yeah. Okay. That's a really good point there, because Jeremy and I started at 6 a.m. on the first year. And from 6 to 7, it was me and it was Jeremy. And then at 7 o'clock, some people from his gym community showed up. And then again at 8 and 9. And for the next 23 hours, we had people doing it with us. No matter what time of the night or morning or day it was, we had people doing it with us. And some stayed for 2-3 hours. Some brought by bagels and just said, hey, keep going. And then some stayed 7, 8, 9 hours. And it makes all the difference in the world when you have community.
100%.
You don't have community. I tell people all the time, I don't know how you're going to do it. I mean, there's plenty of people that could, but most normal people are not going to do it for that long without community behind them.
Yeah. So whenever you did it the first time, like, were you tying in the scriptures like at all, or was it just strictly nothing but the fitness side of it?
So not like we do now, meaning the goal always has been threefold. 1, engage the fitness community with the ministry of FCA. 2, more importantly than 1, point people to Jesus and share the gospel and weave the story of the cross all throughout the workout. Yeah. Meaning the reason we're starting on Thursday and finishing on Good Friday, and the whole name of the event itself, Golgotha, place of the skull, place where Jesus was crucified, Calvary. It's meant to point us to the hope that's coming, and the hope that we have, and that it might feel like Friday, but Sunday is coming. That is what we have done from the beginning. And that third part was, hey, let's raise money for a good cause. Our good cause obviously is FCA, but we've had some cool people that or people that have some cool opportunities in other gyms that have raised money for some of their gym members and some of their gym members' organizations. The money didn't go to FCA. It went to there. I'm totally cool with that, man. That's their good cause. I mean, there was a ministry last year that raised $25,000 for something they're doing in Ethiopia, but it was they were doing FCA Golgotha in their gym community. And so those are impacts that people don't even realize yet. I mean, it's really, really neat to see how God's grown it and is using it. But yeah, we have always woven the story in and have always very clearly shared the meaning of the workout and the significance of it and the picture of what it's pointing to. But some of the stuff you're seeing now, that's developed over the last 2 years.
Right. So, I mean, so now what, 3-4 years into this, obviously, I mean, we were kind of talking earlier, but just, having so much of it kind of branch out now. And now that you're seeing other gyms, other states, I mean, worldwide starting to kind of catch on to this challenge to be able to do this. What is your, how do you see it progressing in the future? Like, is there still a vision or like an ultimate goal that you still have of like, this is where I really want to take it?
Yeah, man, I think we're getting to see that lived out, and glory to Jesus for that. It's not something any human could have done. It's not anything a human can take credit for. When you look at that, I shared the other day the opening message when Jeremy had me speak to his gym community before we started. I have it written in 2 of my Bibles that I have, one of my Bibles that I carry everywhere, but there's a prayer that is written from David Brainerd's journal, an early missionary in the 1700s. And he once said, "Lord, use me to make a difference for you that's utterly disproportionate to who I am."
Wow.
And that way, when you see that, this is so disproportionate that no human can say, "Hey, man, y'all get credit for that." FCA doesn't get credit for that. No gym community gets credit for that. It's something that God has used and grown, and to him be the glory. But I think vision, we're just getting to see that become a reality right now. And that is, hey, here was just this desire to reach people in the fitness community in our greater Charlotte area. Yeah. But then what that turned into was Irvin Mack. I mean, my guy, he is the multi-area director over Columbia, South Carolina. And Irvin reached out and said, "Hey, man, I want to run Golgotha if you're doing it this year for year 2. And I said, "Hey, yeah, Irv." I said, "I guess you just became the first satellite campus." So he did, man. He ran the play from his garage gym. I mean, he was sending me pictures. I mean, he had middle school boys from one of his huddles coming over to do all these movements with him in his neighborhood. The Columbia news station got a hold of it. He's on the news station sharing the gospel and telling people about FCA. And then that was year 2. Well, after year 2, we had Ken Lovell, who's in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and then Crystal Peterson, who's in Washington State. Yeah. So they both said, "Hey, we're heading into year 3. And Crystal is a Mayhem athlete, competed at the CrossFit Games. She is like my wingman for this now. She's incredible leader and great friend, but she's running the only official FCA CrossFit affiliate that we have in the organization. Yeah. And Ken has very close ties. He's a Mayhem athlete as well, does a lot with them. He has close ties with them. And he said, "Hey, you mean to reach out and see if they'd be interested in doing it with us?" I said, "Yeah, what kind of question is that?" Of course. I said, "Go for it." I love those guys. And man, they're so gracious, and they really are. They're the real deal, and they are authentic, very genuine guys, and great community out there in Cookeville, Tennessee. They invited us out to their facility back in late January last year. And we went and spent several days with them. And Jake Lockhart, who's the president of Mayhem, I mean, he's just been a great support for us. He has been very encouraging. He has just been, what can we do to help you guys? And how do we do this together. And neither of us really care too much about who's getting credit. It's more of we both care about people coming to know Jesus, and we both care about this being a way that we see disciples not only made but strengthened. And so that was kind of here's what looked like from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3. And then when the FCA Support Center, Ryan Kiesel and his crew started putting it out on social media, and then the Mayhem team started putting it out on their social media, we started getting all kinds of requests and emails and communications and tractions. And the hilarious but challenging part last year was, brother, we couldn't handle the volume. We couldn't. We didn't have a website. We had one registration system. So everybody around the world and everybody around the U.S. last year was registering through Ken Lovell's local FCA website. So it was chaos in the best of ways. We just said, all right, we just got to get through it, and then we'll figure out
try to figure out the next year.
That's kind of how that came together. And here we are today.
Man, all right. So now, like, this will be year number 4 of it, correct? Like, so just finished year number 4. What are some, just really cool stories or some kind of testimonies that you've kind of heard, throughout it, from, whether it being somebody brand new being introduced to the gospel this way, or anything? Like, what's something cool that you've kind of heard from it?
Yeah, man. I honestly can tell you, I have been brought to tears so many times over the last 3-4 days. People sending me text messages and videos and Instagram posts, and hey, let me tell you about what we just saw happen. I mean, those have absolutely floored me and humbled me, just on how God is using it to draw people to himself. There was a story I got last year of just someone who said it was a top 3 defining moment in their life. And then they explained to me why. They said, I was brought to absolute nothing, to the point where I didn't think I could go any further. And God met me in that moment, and here's how he used it, and here's what it did. And so that's where you just know, like, all right, the Spirit was moving in that. And I'm always really clear to point out every year, yes, let's do hard things. We need to do hard things. And I'm not talking about medical reasons why you can't, right? Those are legitimate, but I'm saying most of us, you can do so much more than you actually think you're capable of doing. You can go so much further. You can be pushed so much further. We need to do hard things. We do. But way more than we need to do hard things physically, we need Jesus, and we need to understand the gospel. And so there's a lot of people that can do hard workouts and not talk about truth and not remind each other of the hope that we have in Christ. But that is what we're doing all throughout that workout. It is a continual and constant reminder. Fix your eyes on Jesus. He's the author and perfecter of our faith. And we can be confident that the one who started this work in us will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Those are great truths and reminders we have. But from, that testimony to, it was, if you add the countries from last year to this year, it's now in 11 different countries. Man. Team Peru, they were sending me all kind of videos. They're running through the streets of Peru. Then they're walking through the streets of downtown Peru with barbells on their back. Wow. You're seeing Josh Wood, who runs CrossFit Collective up in Pennsylvania. Josh, I haven't even gotten to meet in person yet, but we have formed a cool friendship just through this. He went all in with us last year and ran it at his gym. There's a guy that they've been mentoring, shepherding, discipling through that gym community. They have walked closely with him, and this was planned. I'm not talking about the spontaneous stuff, but it was planned that the church community and the gym community, they actually had a baptism for him right when they finished Golgotha on Friday at the gym. And so it was just them sending me those types of things and just, hey, here's how God's using it in ways you may not even know yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, seeing little kids do it with their mom or with their dad, and seeing church communities come together, seeing coaching staffs come together, seeing families push each other and pray for each other and stretch each other. I mean, there are so many things right now. Like, it's one of those questions. There's an obvious answer to your question of, hey, what stories have you seen? But then there are so many that are running through my mind right now,
Sure.
even on a live podcast, where I'm like, I can't even recount them all to you of just how he is using it to, one, strengthen those who are believers, but two, the big word we use with FCA, engage. I mean, there are so many people that have just been engaged with the gospel and with real life on life relationship and with the FCA community just through people saying, hey, I'm going to host it. Yeah. Caitlin Pierce, who y'all spell your name the exact same way, y'all signed up like almost back to back for Golgotha, and y'all are not related. I haven't even met Caitlin in person yet. She did the first ever group up in Vermont. I mean, wow. Her state director forwarded her the scouting report. She says, I'm in, runs a group out of her garage gym. They have a power outage. It's 30 degrees and raining. And then they're doing it through the middle of a storm. And I'm like seeing all these highlights and videos on the social media of them diving into the word, praying for each other, got a fire going. I mean, like, gosh, it's just, come on. So I think from people doing full on worship services and with music and singing to the Bibles being opened, to people laid out on the floor from exhaustion, but saying, hey, I was physically exhausted, but this has spiritually built me up. I mean, one other staff guy sent me a message the other day. He just said, man, I've done it before, but God really moved in my life through this, and I needed it. So thanks for doing it. And man, I just think it's all those comments matter, and they do mean a lot. The encouragement matters, but just seeing how God's using it to draw people to himself, that's baffling and humbling all at the same time.
Man, it was so awesome. So for us doing it here in the garage, number one, I was thinking it was, there was going to be some times where it was just going to be me, but my wife did everything with me. All 24, so me and her stayed up all, and so it worked out great because she's a PE teacher as well. We were on spring break last week, so
good timing.
It was perfect. Yeah, it worked out perfectly in that sense. And so, so we were in the garage. We had a couple people come over on Thursday, and then, like I was telling you, I'm a part of a weightlifting team, and so we have a bunch of us that are very spread out from that weightlifting team. I had this group of guys that we've been a part of a men's group that started November of 2020, and we have met every Monday night on Zoom since then. And it's a real close group. We're all into weightlifting together. And two of them got on around 9:00 that night. One of them lives in Ohio. The other one's in San Antonio. And man, they trained all the way to 6 a.m. with us, with me and my wife. And so they were doing it in their at their house and their with all their stuff. And then we were doing it. We had Zoom pulled up, so just training together, doing the devotion together, reading the scriptures together, and just, being so connected into that sense. And then the same thing on Friday morning, had a few more people come over during the day and do a couple of those workouts here and there with us. And man, it was just so awesome to be able to, I know for me personally, my big takeaway was, like I was telling you, it's been so long since I've done a ton of these different kind of movements. Very first workout, 13 minutes of burpees. I don't even remember the last time I've done a burpee. So it just trashed me, right? Yeah. And I'm like, man, I got 23 more to go.
Right. Yeah, that was hour one.
Yeah, just brutal. And and it just progressively got worse and worse, you could say, with some of the stuff we were doing. And but at 7 a.m. it was me and Kelly, and we were carrying the barbells on our back, right? as Jesus was carrying the cross. It was just me and her. Son came up now. And so we got our barge and we're loaded up, walking down the road in the neighborhood. And it was like during then where I was just, just everything is hurting. Like my stomach is still just knotted up and cramped up. My left calf is off and on straining. My right quad keeps cramping up. And my back is just trash. My hands are trash, everything. And as I'm carrying it, I can't get a comfortable spot on my back. I keep trying to move it around as I'm walking. And it was at that moment where I was like, man, this doesn't even compare to what Jesus felt like trying to carry that cross. There's no telling how uncomfortable and what he was going through as he was trying to carry that. And it was literally at that moment, I can still remember where I was walking on the road, where I was where I almost just had to stop. A few tears came out and was man, this is what he went through for a sinner like me, for someone that is just, over time, that has just, done all of this stuff, and still, man, he did that for every one of us. And so that was the moment for me where kind of caught my second wind after that. From then on, man, I was more upbeat and more, getting through everything again. But man, just knowing that everybody's got some kind of moment like that going through this, the Holy Spirit is consistently working in some way for everybody that's going through it, man. It's just so awesome.
Amen. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So quickly, I know, we've already done it, a pretty long one here, but I do want to ask, brand new spot for you that you just started in January. Give a quick update of kind of how that came to be, and how you kind of prayed through that.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have mentioned this a couple of years ago, it would have probably gone over my head. I would have loved the thought of it, but I would also have been thinking, is that even a possibility?
Yeah.
Sounds like a dream world job for me. But yeah, the Lord used Golgotha as an event to open a lot of doors with a lot of FCA staff. Some I've gotten to meet in person. Some, obviously, you and I've gotten to meet, but we've never even met in person.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But some of those type of relationships has started popping up, and it was giving me the opportunity to connect and to listen and to spur on and to assist and come alongside and help broker relationships and use connections in my world to help them with where they're at. And so I would say the same thing even now. Golgotha, the event itself, was not meant to be a cul-de-sac. It was meaning it's not meant to be the end. It was meant to be a conduit or a launch pad or a catalytic opportunity to help you engage people far beyond the 2 days of the event itself.
Right.
And maybe FCA language, it's like the fields of faith for the fitness gurus of the organization.
Yeah,
but
that's a good way to put it.
It opens up a lot of doors. And I was just finding myself wanting to spend a lot more time there, and being in the multi-area role. Obviously, you have a lot of responsibilities. And, as I began to talk through that with our regional vice president, it was one of hey, what are the next best steps? I mean, Brittany and I very much love where God has us in this community in Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, I'm a Georgia boy through and through, but Charlotte right now, that's where he has us. And we get asked all the time, y'all come back to Georgia? It's well, if the Lord clearly leads us there, then yeah. But if you're asking us right now, Charlotte's home, and we love being here. I love my role that I get to have with Charlotte football. And so we knew he's not changed anything in our hearts or in our circumstances or our family to say, we want to go elsewhere. So we knew, hey, we want to be based here. And then it became, okay, well, what's the best way that we can serve? Is it by continuing to be in the Malta area? We believe there is opportunity here for decades and decades and decades in the greater Charlotte area. But I was also feeling that tension of, I don't think I'm the person for that role heading into the future. And so, one, it was out of a little bit of, man, I feel so strongly about the opportunities and the doors God's opening in the fitness space. The other is, you know what, I wonder if this is the best fit for me right now in the Malta area. And all of that God was using at the same time, because I was wrestling with it. And so it did, man. It led me to a lot of prayer, a lot of fasting, a lot of seeking wise counsel, a lot of diving into God's word. Just, Lord, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And we were actually at the drawing board a few times, me and a few of our regional leaders. And then it was just thrown out, well, hey, you know, obviously your fitness stuff is really taking off. Like, what about something like that? I'm like, you're telling me that's like, I could do that?
Yeah, right. that goes back to that first question you had right out of college. Like,
so it was like, well, yeah, why don't you, like, let's consider that. And so, yeah, Shane and I had conversations. Kim Williams and I had conversations. Josh Gilreath, Sean McNamara, Lance Sheely, who's my supervisor here. I mean, Lance is one of the FCA GOATs, been around for a long, long time. And he's the RD of sport across the region, and getting to work in all kinds of crazy environments. And so Lance has been just a awesome support system for me and a huge encourager. But yeah, we're praying through that and saying, all right, what's this going to look like? And I would say the words of Shane is like, hey, there's a lot of dots out there all over the world. Now let's figure out how we can connect some of those dots. I mean, when you look at fitness, it is one of the longest on-ramps and runways we have with FCA globally across the organization. Yeah. When you're looking at the 8 to 80, when you're looking at FCA for life, when you're looking at every means every, all of those, I mean, the fitness space fits that perfectly. Yeah. And so Crystal and I have had some good conversations of it too. It's like, how are we actually going to define fitness? There are so many possible categories. If you just start talking to somebody about fitness, I mean, you got everything you could think of, from powerlifting to strength and conditioning to bodybuilding to CrossFit to high rocks to, I mean, we have like 25 things on a possibility of fitness list. And so it itself is a sport and it is a hobby. But on the flip side of that, fitness is the foundation of nearly every sport we minister to and serve. It's involved in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, we're learning a lot right now. I do not pretend to have it figured out. It has been a year of listening and learning and taking a lot of notes and building a lot of intentional relationships. But yeah, part of that has just been, yeah, man, I get to be based in the Carolinas. I have a regional level role, and I'm getting to work with leaders across the organization to think through what fitness looks like and how we can best capitalize on the opportunities that God is providing and showing up with in their communities. And that's going to look different from state to state, region to region, and country to country, as we've seen. I mean, even with the Golgotha event, like it's being used around the world now. So we're figuring out what that even looks like in other places, not even stateside.
Man, such a cool way to be able to, again, just to connect to other people and find a way to get to the gospel to them. It's the same thing. It kind of makes me think about what Shane was just talking about at Real Time, I believe, where he was, making that point, or this, I don't know if this is Real Time. It was somewhere. It might have been one time Shane and I were talking, but it was about where, how do we connect to the athletes from high school that once they go to college, but they're not playing any sports anymore, but they were a big part of FCA in high school, but now they go to college and they're not playing. Like, how do you still find a way to do, like, I'm sure they're going to be at a gym somewhere, and that's a great way to be able to bridge that gap and to be able to still connect them to the gospel. And so that's awesome.
Yeah. And that really is one of those other things, man. Like if you ask me, like, a big part of what I'm getting to do right now, and that is building intentional relationships and helping bridge meaningful connections, and also help broker strategic partnerships. I mean, What does that look like? There's all of those things that exist as possibilities when you're talking about fitness. I mean, just even listening to one of our strength and conditioning coaches at Charlotte tell me this a few months ago. Naturally, they were like one of the first group of people I told, hey,
I'm
going to get to do this. Those are my people.
Yeah.
And one of them said, man, I love that opportunity for you. He said, I don't have the exact numbers. He said, but by the time our football guys get done with their careers here, they have spent 70% of their time with us, the strength staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, like that alone, when you think about that in terms of the time you get to spend with a coach or an athlete, all coaches are important. All support level staff are important, from the head coach to the equipment managers to the trainers to the film crew. All of it is vital. You can't run a program without any of those. But when you look at the biggest opportunity in terms of spending large amounts of time with them, the strength staff is going to be some really key people to know and serve and come alongside. And I just think that, that was an eye opener when he said that. He said, hey, don't quote me on the number. He said, but the stat is going to be overwhelmingly large, that they spend a lot of their careers under our leadership. And that was just a sobering thought. I was like, yeah, man, I knew it was going to be big, but you saying it the way you said it, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, man, that's such a cool opportunity. And Ryan, man, it's just such a cool story from, everything from you saying playing college football to finding a way in FCA to going to Charlotte to now FCA Golgotha Challenge to now this, man, the director of fitness and sports performance. And so, man, such a cool testimony. I'm excited to finally get you on the podcast, man, so you kind of share this and kind of tell me more about it, because I had a ton of questions. And so, man, this has been an awesome show. Too. Yeah. Man, this has been an awesome show. And, man, thank you for everyone that's catching up with us either on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are hearing this. Don't forget that everything we do with the FCA, we are fully faith funded. Through this very podcast, we've been asking this year, we were looking for 12 families to give $40 a month. We have 3 of those families. We're still looking for 9 more families to do that. So if you're thinking about that, pray about that, listen to what God is telling you about giving to a cause, giving to the mission here. Everything that you give here obviously goes 100% to the campus of Mercer. Like all of the links will be there. I'm also going to put Ryan's links in there as well. So if you want to give to that side of things as well, please think about it. Please pray about it. Because this is how we spread the gospel, man. This is all like a part of it. So, but Ryan, man, thank you so much for joining it. Great conversation. I can't wait for us to actually meet in person and be able to talk some more. But I definitely enjoyed this, man.
No, man, grateful, very, very grateful for you having me on. Thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for serving on the college campus. I mean, it in ways you can't see, it makes a massive difference. Yeah. And man, I'm just thankful for how God used FCA in my life as a college athlete, and then what he turned that into, and getting to serve on the very team of the organization that he used to transform my life. That's one of those just mind-boggling things I still think about a lot. But hey, save the date, man, March 25th and 26th, 2027.
That's it.
That is the next Golgotha. So we got some time to get our legs and minds right before then. Yep. But anybody.
Yeah, we were already me and my wife both checked it for next year, because our school calendar came out, and that's not spring break next year. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to try to still do it. I thought us, look, like you may just have to take a day off work just so you can come and train for 24 hours.
Yep, that's the way to do it.
That's it, man. Well, sweet. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at Mercer FCA podcast, and we will see you guys back here next week.